What is going on, TU crew, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Totally Unqualified podcast. I am joined, of course, by the same old bozos, Luke Rosenthal and Jake Maltese. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. Moved into the college apartment. I'm ready to go, ready to chop it up.
Yeah, I think I'm on my third day of classes now. It was hot as balls today. So I'm very happy to be in the air conditioning. And as for calling us bozos, let's get further in the episode before you guys call me bozo. All right, let's get a little farther before we start name calling like that.
First 4 seconds out here slandering Jake already.
Yeah.
and me.
Yeah.
All right. And then before we get into the Guess That Player, we are going to talk about Thrive Fantasy a little bit. If you guys haven't downloaded the app just yet, it's a great app, great for fantasy. It makes it super simple. You don't have to put in all the time of doing a bunch of research and everything. They set up the prop bets with the most popular players in the league. So you just take the over-under on whatever the prop bet is. We highly recommend it. Fantastic app. Use our code TOTALLY. That is TOTALLY. Totally. Download it. Great app. All right. I am providing the Guess That Player this week, so I can't embarrass myself this time. Are you guys ready?
Let's get into it.
All right.
I'm always ready. Born ready.
Mm-hmm.
He went, and this NFL, by the way, I didn't say that. He went to Georgia.
Okay. All right.
He was a first-round pick in 2018.
Wait. DeAndre Baker.
No.
I thought it was a cornerback too. I was thinking corner.
Yeah.
He plays a skill position.
2018. Sony Michel?
Yes, sir.
There it is.
Correct.
Let's
Damn.
go. Let's fucking go back on top. Actually, we're tied now.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
tied 5-5 to 1.
The final hint was going to be that he was traded today.
Mm-hmm. I just had thought about that.
That would have good. Yeah.
Yep.
Traded to the Rams.
I totally forgot that Sony Michel was a first round pick just because of how irrelevant he has been.
Yeah, he and Nick Chubb both went to Georgia, and he was drafted over Nick Chubb. Now look where both of them are.
Yeah,
wild.
Right, guys.
Well, Nick Chubb was purely because of the injury concern. He had like a major knee injury in college. Like that was ugly.
Yeah. If you look at the stats and stuff, he did have significantly better stats, and he probably would have went first.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And with that being said, we are going to get into some awesome topics today. Our first topic being NFL related as well. We are going to get into some quarterback battles. They have been all over the league. We've got a bunch of guys duking it out for some top spots. And I figured that we could go ahead and get into the battles that have been decided first. Starting with the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence has been named the starter for week 1. What do you guys think?
They're going to have to trade Gardner Minshew. Like, there's no way they could let – he still has talent. He still has value to a team, still young. I mean, he's, a 2-year starter now, going into his 3rd season, I believe. He was awesome as a rookie. I mean, you look at some of the other first-round rookies that were drafted in 2019, like Daniel Jones. He outplayed him. Some of the other one, Kyler Murray. He didn't really outplay Kyler Murray. He obviously won Offensive Rookie of the Year, but was very suitable for that Jaguars team. Still a lot of talent, like I said. But Trevor Lawrence, he was the number 1 overall pick. He's going to start for your team. If you're Gardner Minshew, you had to anticipate that happening already. No matter how well you could have played in training camp, in the back of your head, oh, this guy was picked number 1 overall. He's going to be the guy moving forward and going to be the future pretty much franchise player of that team. The Jaguars fans have been waiting for far too long now. And they finally got their guy. We all knew it was going to be Trevor Lawrence come week 1. He was the most NFL-ready quarterback coming out of college, and he might be the most NFL-ready quarterback come week 1. It was right. It was the right decision. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we knew from the second that the Jaguars got the first overall pick. Like this has been in the writing for a while now. So, I mean, I don't have much to say other than, I mean, duh. I don't know what else to say. I think we all expected this.
Yeah, I posted a video about it. I want to say a week or so ago now, because that was when the news first came out that Urban Meyer said it was a quarterback competition between the two. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not, and it hasn't been at any point. And I actually got an odd amount of backlash about it. Everybody was like, "Oh, he could definitely sit," and it's like, no, what? No, absolutely not. I love Gardner Minshew. I'd love to see him get a chance somewhere else, and I think that would be in his best interest. But I think that the Jaguars obviously are going to try to hold on to him for at least this season.
To that point, Gage.
Go ahead, Luke.
To that point, Gage, about Urban Meyer saying that it was a quarterback competition, I believe he strictly did that to sort of build up Gardner Minshew's trade revenue or trade value. Yeah. I think as we're speaking right now, you could still trade Gardner Minshew for maybe a mid-round pick, a third rounder, maybe. You could trade him in division to the Texans, and I'm sure that they would give you something for him. I thought this was simply a ploy to try and get his trade value up, to make it seem like he's really competing with Trevor Lawrence, even though we all sort of knew what was going to be the outcome.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention very quickly that the last time Urban Meyer oversaw a quarterback competition, he chose Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow. So I just want to make that known. Could that be an indication for the future? Obviously, Dwayne Haskins went on to have an all-time season that year, 50 touchdowns. But Joe Burrow just had the greatest college football season of all time. So
True.
just something for Jaguars fans to think about,
And then the second team that chose their starting quarterback today, this one was pretty interesting to me, is the Broncos decided on Teddy Bridgewater as their starting quarterback over Drew Lock. Do you guys think that was the right move?
Yeah. Okay. So here's my thing. Drew Lock, ultra talented quarterback coming out of Missouri. And his rookie year looked really, really promising for the Broncos. It looked like they had finally gotten their guy after Peyton Manning. It was just always the decision-making. You saw the talent, you saw the arm strength, you saw how he could push the ball downfield and really open up that offense. We all saw that. It was just poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. And that was his big issue. So he goes in the offseason this year, works with Peyton Manning. That was publicized everywhere. And I really think that this preseason, he's really shown that his decision-making has been much improved. And this is not that Drew Lock has looked bad. Drew Lock has looked really, really good. Probably the best he's looked so far in the NFL. Obviously, it's just preseason, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But Teddy Bridgewater really came out with a fire under him. He's kind of turned into that Tyrod Taylor type of player where a team gets him, but it's really only to groom the rookie quarterback underneath him or a quarterback underneath him. That's how he's kind of bounced from team to team, or he's kind of been that backup that could step in and really carry you for a couple games, be that really solid backup quarterback. So Teddy Bridgewater, people forget, young guy, first round pick in 2014 with the Vikings. So I think he really wants to establish himself as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think this was the safe pick by Vic Fangio. Teddy absolutely earned it. Absolutely. He played phenomenally in the preseason. I just think that this is purely because Vic Fangio is on the hot seat and he wanted to go with the safer option here. And Teddy Bridgewater is definitely the safer option. Still a good option. Still, that's not taking anything away from him. He's a really good quarterback. Deserves to be a starter in this league somewhere. But Drew Lock definitely, for my money, gives you so much more upside in terms of how you can open up the offense with him. Teddy Bridgewater, you're not really going to get that deep ball going, which you would really hope would be part of this Denver offense with, KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy, the guys that could really push the ball downfield. But you know what? It's not a bad decision. Teddy absolutely earned it. And we'll see what happens.
There was no other decision you could have made with how hot Teddy was this whole entire preseason. He only had one incompletion in the last game. He definitely earned it. I think last year was the real year for Drew Lock to sort of prove himself. It was a little bit unfortunate with injuries. They had some injuries to the offensive line. Cortland Sutton was obviously missed for the entire season, but they did have guys step up, like a guy like Tim Patrick, who I thought had a nice season for them last year. They have Noah Fant there. They drafted Albert O, of course, Jerry Jeudy, the first rounder. I thought last year was Drew Lock's real chance to sort of prove himself in this league. And he pretty much failed every single test. Every single box was not checked. He really just hasn't developed the way that they've wanted him to. And you know what? That's kind of just the track record with who John Elway has drafted in the past. You know, he had that track record. Even though he's not there anymore, the player that he drafted is still there. You just never could really get that guy in the draft, through the draft. This was absolutely the right decision. Teddy Bridgewater's always been that guy who he might be average, but he could definitely get your team to where they need to go. Maybe not Super Bowl level, but can the Denver Broncos make the playoffs with how well Teddy Bridgewater is playing? Granted, it's only preseason, but I think with the weapons that they have on offense and how improved their defense is, really, I mean, they might have the best secondary in football next year. Let's see. I think he may be able to lead them to the playoffs. I couldn't say the same thing for Drew Lock.
I was fine either way with who they were going to pick. I didn't really have a huge issue with either. I do think that Drew Lock has a lot more upside, in my opinion, as far as he's the kind of guy that if you get in a close situation with him being able to push the ball downfield the way that he's shown in this preseason, that I think that he has significantly better arm talent. He's got an absolute cannon on him, and he can get you downfield in those situations where it might be a close game. Teddy Bridgewater is not going to do that. The Broncos with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm are going to have to be up for a lot of the game. He's not that guy that's going to lead you on a game-winning drive to win the game. He's very accurate with the ball. He pretty much always has a high completion percentage, but he just doesn't take a lot of risks, and that's what I like out of Drew Lock. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't think they made a bad decision. I don't know that it was the decision that I would have made, though. And then moving on to the next team on the list, Luke, you were the one that suggested we talk about this, so I'm going to let you go first with this. We've got the Bears, Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is the guy. It's his time, supposedly. What do you think?
Bears fans, this will be the only time I ever say this in my life, but I have your back here, all right? Matt Nagy is an idiot. Matt Nagy's an idiot, all right? Like, I don't understand what the point is in starting Andy Dalton week 1. And then if he's not good enough, then moving to Justin Fields maybe by week two. Like, we've seen enough in the preseason. We've seen enough to tell Justin Fields obviously has a higher ceiling than Andy Dalton at this point in their careers, but he's just a better quarterback than Andy Dalton right now. Okay. I understand people might say they're protecting the franchise. All right. The franchise is Justin Fields for the future. Maybe they don't want to get him injured. They don't want to expose him to NFL ready talent, but like, the only way you could really gauge his level of quarterback play is by putting him in the fire. All right. Start him week 1 against the Rams. All right. Let him see Aaron Donald week 1. Okay. Will you win that game? Probably not. Will Justin Fields have a great game? Probably not, going up against Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. All right. But like, I just don't understand the sense in starting Andy Dalton. Maybe they do just want to throw Andy Dalton into the fire and they don't want Justin Fields getting hurt. Maybe that's why he's starting week 1 and then Justin Fields maybe comes out week 2. I don't know. I don't see any sense in that. I think this is just another thing on the list of bad decisions made by Matt Nagy. And I think this is ultimately going to result in him being on the hot seat immediately this season, maybe even be fired by midseason.
Yeah, here's my thing with Justin Fields. Obviously super talented, and he's really been shown out in the preseason, at least preseason game 1, preseason game 2. He didn't really have the best game, and we obviously all saw the hit that he suffered in that game. I mean, that was crazy. But Matt Nagy, in my opinion, will not last past this year. He won't. He's just... I don't like, we've seen the results of Matt Nagy. We saw, yes, he had that great 2018 season, I think it was, with Mitchell Trubisky. But other than that, really, he hasn't produced a lot. And now he's just the coaching decisions, like pretty much every coaching decision he's ever made has been like put to the media and been like constantly questioned by several media outlets about why is he doing this? Questioned by fans. I just don't know if Matt Nagy has a full grasp of what he's doing. And I don't know if he's had a full grasp of what he's doing for the last couple of years, as long as he's been head coach. Now, in terms of the Justin Fields stardom or not, that's really whatever your ideology is, whatever your preference is. You know, I personally believe in that rookie quarterback should at least sit behind a veteran for 1, maybe 2 games at least, just to see how a veteran prepares to start a game, you know, sees how they play an NFL game against number 1 defenses, just to have those visuals and then maybe put them in. So I believe in that kind of grooming on the very, with the exception of like pure, like definitely ready NFL quarterbacks. Like you got Trevor Lawrence, obviously, is one of those guys that could definitely just pick up a football and start week one. Justin Fields was more one read guy in college. So he's a little behind in terms of that. But he's looked very, very good. If he did decide to start him week one, I would absolutely understand why, because Justin Fields has obviously showed that he is a tremendous talent and definitely deserves to be a starting quarterback in this league. But, it comes down to ideology. I understand why they're starting Andy Dalton, because I kind of prefer rookie quarterbacks to kind of, sit down behind a veteran for a little bit. But I don't think that Justin Fields will be sitting for long. I don't think he gets out of September without being the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, if things go the same way that they have been throughout preseason and stuff like that, I think that Justin Fields probably starts sooner rather than later. I don't know. My typical view on things is that if it's a battle, so to speak, between a veteran and a rookie, that if there's a huge gap, like if the rookie is looking significantly better, go ahead and give him a shot. Why not? But if you're in a situation where they're looking pretty similar as far as skill level in camp and in preseason and stuff like that, then maybe just go ahead and start the veteran, let him do his thing because he's got the experience, and let the rookie have some time to develop. And I feel that way more so in another situation that we're going to talk about. But as far as the Bears go, I think Justin Fields starts soon, but not week one.
This is why I get so mad about Matt Nagy, is because you want to put your football team in the best position to win every week. And I just don't think he's doing so by starting Andy Dalton week one.
He's bad. He's ass. He's a terrible head coach. I don't have any faith in him whatsoever. The offense, when he stopped calling the plays, got significantly better, and they, for some reason, have gone back to him calling the plays this season. I'm sorry, Bears fans. You're not in great hands. You're probably going to be bad, but hopefully help is on the way.
And he has such an ego, too. Like, he's such a snarky asshole,
for no reason.
In his media sessions, like every time you ever see him speak, he's always an asshole, too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Going to another team
this year.
Yeah, probably so. Going to another team up north. This one could get pretty interesting with some things going on with the Patriots, because Cam Newton is now out 5 days because of COVID issues, where the team and he himself had a misunderstanding of the COVID protocol when getting tests outside or away from NFL facilities. So now he's out 5 days with that. And Mac Jones potentially has, the time to step up and show what he can do in camp with those guys on the first team. And he's going to be starting their last preseason game, from what I understand. So in a quarterback battle that was already close, this one could get even more interesting. Jake, you want to start this one off?
Yeah, I am known Mac Jones lover. I loved him coming out of college. I really hyped him up. I thought he deserved to be the 49ers pick there at number 3. Which was a very, very unpopular opinion. But listen, he's all reports coming out of Patriots camp is that all the players are gravitating towards him. He is doing everything correctly, and he is really showing out on the football field. Just everything about him told me that he was really more NFL ready than a lot of people thought he was coming out of Alabama, especially coming out of a program like Alabama. But yeah, I would believe that I'd like to see him in this last preseason game just to kind of solidify my thoughts. But if he started week one, I can't say that I would be surprised. I mean, Cam Newton has had, as far as like the reports I've looked at, Cam Newton has had some amazing days in training camp, looking like 2015 camp. And he's had some days where he's looked like the guy that got cut from the Panthers. In terms of consistency, it seems like Mac Jones is beating him in that part. And this could be Mac, you're probably not listening, but if you are, these are your 5 days to step up in training camp, really show that you could be a starting quarterback for the New England Patriots sooner rather than later.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if Mac Jones were to start week one, especially with this whole COVID thing. I feel like there might be some behind the scenes drama with Cam Newton and Patriots management. That's nor here nor there. I think Cam Newton deserves a chance to start. I don't think that we got to see Cam Newton play at his fullest potential because of the receiving core that he had last year. It was abysmal. I mean, Damiere Byrd was pretty much their number one wide receiver. Now that they actually have given him some free agents, they gave him Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. They're getting to hit N'Keal Harry back, who's not that good anyways, but they added Nelson Aguilar. They added a bunch of other guys where I think it's more suitable. It's a more suitable offense where you could actually succeed in. I don't think we're ever going to see 2015 Cam Newton ever again. I really don't. I think he's way past that at this point in his career. But I mean, the guy led the league in rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks with 10, I believe, last year. So it's not like he was playing terrible, right? It was really, the offense had to shift from Tom Brady, who barely ever moves at all, to a rushing quarterback, primarily a rushing quarterback who happened to win an MVP in 2015. I think Cam Newton deserves a chance to start. I think I want to see him with the players that they added on this team. And if you know what, if it's still last year's Cam Newton, move on to Mac Jones. Because like you said, Jake, Mac Jones has been impressing me in preseason. I wasn't as high on him coming out of college as you were. I thought it was sort of a one-hit wonder sort of thing with Nick Saban in a COVID year where everything's scrambled, everything's different, not as much of a sample size that you could look at. I want to see Cam Newton start the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Mac Jones gets the job, a couple weeks in or even week one.
Yeah, I think that Mac Jones is in a perfect situation going from Alabama to then the Patriots because of that Nick Saban to Bill Belichick transition, which is pretty similar. As far as him being the starter week one, I still feel pretty much the same way that I felt about it before, prior to all this COVID news and stuff like that I think they'll go with Cam Newton until there's an issue, until they feel that they need to go to Mac Jones because Cam Newton is losing them games, or they go on some sort of losing streak and they feel that Mac Jones is able to turn it around. But I really just don't see him starting anytime soon. Maybe I would say at the earliest, like week 6, week 8, maybe like halfway through the season, throw him in there. But outside of that, I think Cam Newton's pretty much got it locked up. And then going to yet another team, former Patriot is the current starter, but we've got a guy that hasn't played football in a while, and Trey Lance coming for his job. Jimmy Garoppolo, is he on the hot seat, or do you guys think that he continues to be the starter going into the season?
I think Jimmy Garoppolo's one of the more overrated players in all football. That being said, you can't ignore his track record. I mean, with him starting, what's the 49ers record? It's definitely way over 500. Okay. They win way more games with him than without him. Without him, they've been an abysmal team. They've been an abysmal franchise. I mean, granted, last year they didn't just lose him. They lost a lot of other pieces, Nick Bosa, a lot of the pieces on the secondary as well. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start for majority of the season. I think Trey Lance is in a good spot. I don't even necessarily think that we see Trey Lance at all this season. I think the 49ers are good enough to compete with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. They've showed it 2 years ago when they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. If they have an elite defense, which their secondary is a little bit diminished, but they still have an elite front seven with Fred Warner, Nick Bosa coming at you. I think this team is good enough to compete right now. I think they're good enough to compete with Jimmy Garoppolo. If you were to switch over to Trey Lance, because Trey Lance honestly hasn't had the best preseason. Okay, there's been some ups. There's been more downs than ups, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually don't see Trey Lance start at all this season. But Jimmy Garoppolo has a long injury history, so we'll see.
Yeah, like I said with the Justin Fields argument, I'm always a proponent of the veteran starting over the rookie for a little bit, just to get that extra time for the rookie to develop, see how a veteran prepares for games, and that especially goes for Trey Lance, who hasn't played football besides this preseason. He played one game of football last year, and it really wasn't that good, probably just because he was rusty. It was a COVID year and whatever, so I let him off the hook for that. But Trey Lance is he's coming from a Division I AA school. He's got a lot to learn, and Jimmy is a proven veteran. I agree with you, Luke, totally, that Jimmy Garoppolo has been one of the most overrated quarterbacks since he was a backup with the Patriots. But yeah, you can't like you said, you can't deny the results. I mean, they win when he's on the field. So I can 100% see a situation where Trey Lance gets put in there earlier than they would like. It's because of Jimmy's long injury history, as Luke said. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that Trey won't start this year, because I think he will, whether that's because of an injury or not to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Trey Lance will be seen more towards mid to later end of the season, depending on how the 49ers are, performing with Jimmy Garoppolo, or if Jimmy Garoppolo is even healthy.
So from the sounds of it, from the reports coming out of camp and stuff, Trey Lance has looked leaps and bounds better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But then we get into preseason, and Trey Lance is a little bit inconsistent, a little bit all over the place. I mean, in his first game, he goes 5 for 14. Outside of the low completion percentage, he looked decent. But I just think that he still needs that time. He's too raw to just jump right in there and start competing against these NFL teams, especially these first-string defenses and stuff like that. So I like them having Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're able to compete with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I feel like, like you said, Jake, later in the season, maybe he can get in there and get some time if they need him to. But I like him sitting. I think that he's going to be a very, very good player. I think that he's got all of the talent, all of the attributes to be that high-level player. But I don't want him to rush into it and end up in a bad situation because of that.
Exactly. 100% agree.
And then lastly, we have got my team, the Saints. We've got Jameis Winston. We've got Taysom Hill. It's getting not as interesting because I feel like there's a clear-cut number one here. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Jameis Winston is going to be the starter of this team. I love Taysom Hill. I love his abilities. I love that he is good on the ground and he can use his legs as well. Jameis Winston doesn't have that, but Jameis has him beat on so many levels as far as the passing game goes. He had those 2 beautiful touchdowns to Marquez Callaway in this past preseason game. I just don't see how we can't start him at this point. He hasn't been named the starter, but it's going to happen. You guys have any thoughts on it?
Not really. You kind of said it all. I didn't think there really was a competition regardless. I thought they were going to give Jameis the nod pretty much the whole offseason, ever since Drew Brees retired. I mean, Taysom Hill is a unique player, not only because he does everything, but like he's almost so good at everything that there's really not even a position for him. So he's not even going to get time on the field, if that makes sense. Like they'll have special packages and stuff, but he'll never be that starting caliber guy because while he's maybe not great at everything, he's definitely good at certain things and bad at others. But like, there's no way, especially with what we've seen out of Jameis Winston this preseason, there's no way you could have justified starting him over Jameis. I thought this was definitely the correct move.
Yeah, nothing much more to add on top of that. Jameis clearly won the job from everything I've seen in preseason. But I do think that Taysom Hill is going to continue to have his spot in the offense. Maybe coming in to be the quarterback in certain packages, being obviously a wide receiver, tight end, running back and other packages. But Sean Payton's the perfect guy to get the best out of both these guys. But Jameis Winston is definitely going to be the main starter for the Saints. I don't think there's a question about that.
Yeah, I've been saying for a while now that I think the only reason that it was a competition in the first place was because of loyalty to Taysom, because he's been with the team and he's helped us out so much as far as being a part of the offense. My worry now, I think that he will continue to do that kind of stuff with the team this season, but my worry now is that after this season, he's kind of fed up and feels like he can be a starter somewhere else, so he may request a trade or something like that, though all of his years are voidable. So if we do decide to go that route, I mean, it's not much skin off our back, but still going to suck either way.
Yeah, not the end of the world there.
Yeah.
And you could get good value for a guy like Taysom Hill too. The Texans, boom, they need a quarterback.
Yeah, they've got Fitzpatrick up in Washington right now. Get Taysom and get Minshew and have them duke it out for the starting spot up there. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
We need to get all of like the backup quarterbacks, sort of the washed quarterbacks, all on one team. Like we need to just give them all. Who's a team that hasn't had a good quarterback in forever? Like the Bears have Justin Fields now. Let's just give them all to the Bears. Give every single one. They already have 3 of them on their, or 2 of them on their team right now, and Dalton and Nick Foles.
Yeah,
we'll just have one big workout in one place, and like whatever teams want to come can come. But just all of the random backups that like could be starters, might not be. Minshew, Taysom, Nick Foles, like all those guys. That
JT awesome. Barrett.
Where is he now? Wow. Does he even exist anymore?
I don't even know.
I don't think he's nowhere near the league anymore. Yeah.
He was on our practice squad for a little while, but I haven't heard anything about him in a while.
He might be in the CFL or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Somewhere.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from that, we're going to get into something a little bit different. We're going to get back into random rankings. The last time we did Marvel movies, and this time we're going to get into sodas. So this might be a little bit hectic. You guys might roast us for this, depending on what our rankings are. But we'll see what happens. Luke, you are up first if you want to give it a go.
All right. Keep in mind, I know I'm a tubby kid, but I really don't drink soda a lot. That's all right. So ranking this top 5 was a little bit hard for me. All right. At 5, I'm going with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, right, is an easy go-to. It's great in the summertime. You know, when you're like a hot day, like maybe playing basketball or something, you don't really want water because you've been drinking water all day. You know what? Get a nice ice cold Coca-Cola out of the fridge. Coca-Cola is 10 times better than Pepsi. Nobody at me. That is 100% facts. Number 4, I'm going with raspberry Fanta. Okay. And I know for a fact, neither of you have had raspberry Fanta.
No,
I know for a fact. I only know about raspberry Fanta because you know those machines, like the new dispensing machines, which have like 5 million different
that mix everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's one in like a Five Guys back at home, and it has raspberry Fanta. It's one of the best things I've ever had. Go try it if you haven't. At 3, I'm going with Grape Crush, specifically grape. Orange soda is kind of meh to me. Grape Crush, not only was it a meme for a little bit with Aaron Rodgers after he destroyed the Vikings, he was drinking Grape Crush after in a media session. It is delicious. Grape soda, outstanding, top tier. Can't go without it. At number 2, going with Sprite, specifically from McDonald's. Specifically McDonald's Sprite. All right, I don't want any of that 2-liter shit. I don't want nothing from a can. I want it from the dispensary. I want it dispensed out of the vending machine from McDonald's. That's what I want. And number 1 is Baja Blast. I don't know if you guys have had Baja Blast from Taco Bell. It is top tier. I remember when this first came out. I was in middle school, and like kids legit went crazy for this shit. Baja Blast is the best soda in my opinion. Who's up next?
Jake, passing the torch to you.
I like the Baja Blast choice right there. I'm gonna start out at number 5 with just Mountain Dew in general, because there's too many amazing flavors of Mountain Dew to really you got the classic Mountain Dew, you got Code Red, you got Voltage, which is the blue one, and you obviously got Baja Blast. Mountain Dew just knows what they're doing. So Mountain Dew is always a solid one. I'm going to have them at 5. Okay.
If you had to pick one, though, which one are you picking if you had to pick one?
If I walk into the gas station, I definitely, it's a hot day, you're on a road trip, and you're in front of the cooler. You can see the fog on the window. Mountain Dew.
I'm a little unpopular here. I like the original. I would probably just grab original Mountain Dew. Like nothing crazy. But I do enjoy the other flavors. But if I had to, walk into a gas station like Gage, I would definitely just grab the original. Number 4, I'm gonna have the classic, consistent Coca-Cola. I mean, you just can't go wrong with it. It's always there for you when you need it. Whenever you're struggling, when you're rushed at the restaurant and they're like, "Oh, what do you want to drink?" and you're not ready, you're just like, Coke. It's just like it just flows out of you. It's always a solid option. Coke will forever be better than Pepsi, even though Penn State is a Pepsi school and that's all they sell here. But so yeah. But moving on to number 3. I am going to go with just cream soda. Now, cream soda is freaking delicious. Okay. I really couldn't pick a brand because I don't stick to one brand of cream soda. There's A&W, there's Mug, there's Stewart's, there's all a bunch of good ones. But I just love cream soda. It's delicious. It tastes like vanilla ice cream to me. And it's always a treat whenever I find cream soda. Number 2, I'm going to have Sprite. That was always my go-to as a kid was Sprite. It's delicious. You know, you can specify McDonald's Sprite because that is hands down the best Sprite there is. I don't know what they do to it there in the golden arches, but they do it right. It just tastes like TV static and it is delicious. Number one, probably, yeah. Tell me I'm wrong. Like,
tastes
imagine
like
TV static.
TV static? I don't know if I can agree with that.
It's spicy.
That's exactly, yeah. Like, I can't even describe. That's the best way. Somebody described it to me like that once, and I was like, that is like the best description I've ever heard of it. I'm like, it's just right. Okay. Number one, I'm gonna have probably a soda that I don't know if you guys have heard of. It's Verners ginger soda.
Yeah.
It is. They don't sell it in New York. So, Luke, I don't know if you've heard of it.
Definitely
but
haven't.
Yeah, I can't get it. My friend I'm a sucker for ginger ale. Because it's not as bad as other sodas. It's actually, it's actually I'm not going to say it is good for you, but it's better than other sodas. So my friend who goes to Michigan a lot, he has family there. He brought me this soda once. It was Verners. He's like, I know you like ginger ale. Just try this. It's not ginger ale. It's like ginger soda, but whatever. It's the same shit. I tried it. I have been obsessed with it since that day. It is the best soda I have ever had in my entire life. Thank God that by the grace of God, I found it in a grocery store here. So they do sell it in Pennsylvania. And I just stack up on it whenever I go home. I've gotten my entire family hooked on it. You know, I bought 3 18 packs of it home when I went home for the summer. And they were like, what's this Verners stuff? I was like, just try it. They all were hooked. The boxes were basically gone within a month. If you have not tried Verners, for you people, it's more of a like Michigan around that area kind of thing, Midwestern thing, Central United States kind of thing. It is the best soda I've ever tasted in my life. It's in my fridge right now. I really don't drink a ton of soda, but if I ever do, Verners is my go-to. And I just can't stress enough. You guys have to try it. So that's my number one.
Verners, huh?
I've heard of it, but I've never had it. So I might have to see if I can find it somewhere and give it a shot.
Delicious,
since you're talking so highly of it.
It doesn't taste like any ginger ale you've ever had before. Like it's so good. Like I can't even describe it.
Gotcha. All right. That just leaves me then. And at number 5, I have root beer. Big fan of root beer. I've, drank it all my life. Love it. At number 4, I've got 2 types of Mountain Dew on here. I don't have the original Mountain Dew, even though I do love that as well. Wow. At number 4, I've got Mountain Dew Voltage because I love it. That would be my go-to. If I walk into a gas station or whatever, that would be what I grab. At number 3, I've got Dr. Pepper, which I'm kind of surprised neither of you guys said because it is a pretty popular one. At number 2, I've got Cherry Coke specifically. And then finally at number 1, I also have Baja Blast.
Baja Blast rules.
It's so good.
It's
the best. Now there's a couple things
there's a couple. I'm not doubting that. I love Baja Blast too.
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to touch on that I did notice. Luke, you made a face when Jake said cream soda. Do you have a problem with cream soda?
So, I'm not the biggest fan of cream soda or root beer for that matter. I feel like they're sort of similar a little bit. That being said, I do like vanilla Coke. I don't know if that's really the same. I don't know if that's cream soda, but I feel like there's a distinct taste difference between the two. I'm not a fan of cream soda at all.
Maybe it's the sweetness of it because vanilla Coke isn't quite as sweet. So maybe like root beer and cream soda, that's why you don't like it as much.
Yeah.
It's a treat. I look at cream soda as a treat. It's kind of like a dessert because of how sweet it is. But it was always whenever I went a place and I was allowed to get my parents didn't always let me order soda, but when I was allowed to get cream soda, oh my god, that was a special day because it's so good. I love cream.
Yeah, it's
soda.
like a dessert almost. That's kind of how I do it, as sweet as it is.
Yeah,
and then. Also, I'm glad that we're all in agreement that Pepsi can kick rocks because fuck Pepsi. If I go to a restaurant and I'm like, do you have Coke or Pepsi products? And they say Pepsi, I'm half tempted to get up and walk out.
Are there those people that would just leave? Are those real people?
I don't know. I mean, if they do say Pepsi in actuality, I just order Mountain Dew or whatever.
Yeah, or Sierra Mist and Sprite.
Whatever else they have. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I actually have an issue with McDonald's Sprite.
Really?
And this is going to be highly unpopular. And I don't know if it's just a recent thing or what. Whenever I go to McDonald's or just restaurants in general, really, or like fast food restaurants, that is, even with Coke and stuff, I don't know what's going on, but the drinks suck. They do not taste how they're supposed to as of lately. I don't know if it's the area that I'm in or what's going on, but every time I order Coke, it doesn't taste right. When I get Sprite, it's like, I don't know.
Is this from every place?
Yeah, it feels that way. And I've talked to friends about it, and they're like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I would rather just get a bottle or something like that than to get an actual fountain drink because it doesn't taste right.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I will always, if I have the option to go get Sprite at McDonald's, I'm going to get Sprite at McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the good Sprite that you're talking about. Like, I love TV Static, but...
Love it. Love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, this is actually a sports podcast. So we're going to get back into some sports. We're going to talk a little college football now. We have got some big news coming out of college football currently with the Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 all joining together in this alliance, so to speak. How do you guys feel about that? It's a little up in the air. It's a little weird. Nothing is contractual whatsoever. It's all just agreed upon verbally. What do you guys think that this means for college football? Jake, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So when they first announced it, I was a little confused as to what it really meant, alliance or whatever. But then as I read into it, I realized that it's just because, they have 9 in-conference games, and then the other 3, you're free to go out and have contracts with their teams to, make other out-of-conference games. So from now on, like, these schools are all going to have those mostly their out-of-conference games are going to be within these conferences. I think this is really good for college football. I think it really increases their chances of getting in the college football playoff under the 14 format too. I don't know if this goes into account yet. Maybe it probably goes into account down the future, because I feel like teams have their out of conference games scheduled until like 2028 or something. But yeah, so whenever this goes into effect, it's really going to help the bids of these teams for the college football playoff when it eventually does expand to 12 teams, as they've mentioned, because they're going to have more stronger teams on the schedule. I think this is just good for college football. There's less of those. I went to the first Penn State game my sophomore year was against Idaho. We beat them 70-7. There's going to be less of that and more like relevant football, which is, everybody looks at the schedules like we're playing Ball State this year. Like, you think I want to play Ball State, or would I rather play USC in a rematch of the Rose Bowl from a couple of years ago? Like, obviously I'd rather play USC. So I think this is better for college football in general. It's better for anybody that is a fan of a team in these 3 conferences. And it's their, way of trying to compete with the SEC, because the SEC just has solid teams all the way through besides Vanderbilt. Yeah, I think this is good for college football. I'm excited about it.
I also think it's good for college football. I wonder, would this have happened if Oklahoma and Texas didn't move to the SEC? Probably not. I wouldn't imagine any of this shit would happen. We're at the point right now in college football, guys, where they just need to dismember and just disband from the NCAA. Yep. You have enough. You have enough talented teams right now. You could literally say, you know what? Fuck off, NCAA. You've screwed us for so many years now, doing all your illegal shit, and what have you, borderline illegal, whatever. You have enough talented teams right now where they could all band together and make their own conference. I don't know how that would work out contractually. I don't know what the ins and outs would be, but like hypothetically you could, right? You have enough teams right now. You have enough conferences now. It is good for college football. It's good for teams like Wisconsin, who will never probably ever make the 4-team college football playoff. But maybe once they expand to 12 teams, who knows? It's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait to see, some games that we wouldn't have seen before, like a Wisconsin versus Clemson, maybe in a couple years. Like that'd be awesome to see. I know we got Wisconsin Notre Dame coming up. I don't know if it's this. I don't think it's this upcoming year, is it? I think they rescheduled it to like 2026 or some shit. But we have a big game there. But it's kind of crazy that or college football fans have to wait so long for their team to play another good team. Like, why do I have to wait so long to play in Alabama? Why do I have to wait so long to play in Notre Dame? It doesn't really make sense. I feel like this is going to help out a lot with the scheduling. You're going to get more competitive teams going up against other competitive teams. You're not just going to get a bunch of blowouts like you see half these college games pretty much are. I think this is great for college football. I don't think this would have happened had Oklahoma and Texas not left the what conference, dude? This is bad.
Big 12.
The Big 12. Jeez, I almost said the Big 10 for a second.
But yeah, I totally agree with all that. I mean, you guys said it very well. I think that the entire landscape of college football as a whole is heading in a direction right now where it's going to be a lot more joint in a way. And I feel like you're right about it heading away from the NCAA. And I could almost envision like 4 big conferences to come out of that. Like 4 conferences of a lot of these teams coming together and making the conferences bigger and duking it out that way. And I think that would make the game of college football significantly better, significantly more interesting. And I think with him expanding the college football playoff, I think that makes that a lot more interesting as well. So it's going to be super interesting to see, and I'm excited for it.
The only thing with them expanding the college football playoff is that it kind of makes these other bowl games not as important. Like, what's going to happen to the Rose Bowl? What's going to happen to the Sugar Bowl? We're going to see 2 middle of the pack teams go up against each other. Whereas like in the past, these are prestigious, championship games. I mean, if you're not going to make it to the playoffs, this is the next best thing for a lot of these college football programs. I don't really know what's going to happen to a lot of the bowl games. I'm sure a lot of them are actually just going to, go under. I mean, who's going to play in the Pinstripe Bowl now that there's 12 teams going to the college football playoffs? Nobody. You're not going to have any team playing for that. So I feel like a lot of these bowl games are probably going to diminish over the years.
But I feel like there's always those bowl games. Like the Rose Bowl will always be relevant, because like there's been years where the Rose Bowl was like, I couldn't care less about watching the Rose Bowl. When it was Iowa versus Stanford, like I did not watch that Rose Bowl game because it was very boring. That was the year that Chris McCaffrey had a big run. And that was where Solomon Thomas, jumped onto the scene and became 3rd overall pick. But yeah, I feel like the Rose Bowl, especially the Big 6, the New Year's 6, will always kind of be relevant, even also because actually, wait, if it expands to 12 teams, wouldn't they all be used as a playoff game? Because there'd be 6 matchups.
That is a pretty valid point, because then they like those bowl games then just become playoff games. Like they're part of the college football playoff rather than being separate from it. I like that.
Well, maybe they'll have the losers of the college football playoff like go up against each other, and maybe that'll become like the new Rose Bowl. Yeah.
I feel like cool. I feel like they could do both almost. You know what I mean? They could use those as playoff games, and then for the teams that lose the playoff games or whatever, it's like a loser's bracket almost of the other bowl games that don't get into the playoff itself. They could do some interesting stuff with it. They're going to work on it. We're not going to the 12 playoff system or bracket right away, so we'll see what they come up with. Yeah. But we've touched on the college football playoff now, so we're going to give our predictions on who we think gets in this year. Still just 4 teams as of now. I think we all agreed that both Alabama and Clemson are going to get in. So basically, we're just going to discuss our 2 other teams that we have getting in and debate that. So, Jake, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so right when we started the podcast, I was like, okay, I have my 2 teams. We all agreed on Alabama and Clemson, as Gage just said. Those are the obvious ones, and they will be until they prove otherwise. I was originally gonna put UNC in there too, but then I was like, can't do that, and I'm gonna explain why. So I'm gonna have Georgia and Oklahoma and this isn't a bold prediction because those teams that college football playoff has been together before. Like we've been there, seen that. But Georgia, JT Daniels is going to be starting there. They have the number 1 overall recruit in Nolan Smith coming in and playing on the defensive side of the football from a couple years back, that's obviously huge. I just think Georgia's a very solid team, and they finally have the quarterback to kind of go on that run and then play really well, as they had that ridiculous luck with quarterbacks, when they had Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm, and then they got Justin Fields. Obviously, Jacob Eason and Justin Fields went on to play elsewhere. But Georgia I believe, is going to continue that good quarterback play and make their way back in the college football playoff, because Kirby Smart's just a great head coach, and I don't think he's going to be left out of there for long. And then Oklahoma, purely because of Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, you're going to hear me rave all college football season about Spencer Rattler. Mark it down right now. He's the number 1 overall pick next year. When I watched his film, I was like, he's obviously got some things to clean up, but last year was his first year starting, so I gave him a little leeway. Or second year, it was the second. No, I don't remember. Okay, but he hasn't started a lot. That's the main thing here. I see Patrick Mahomes when I see Spencer Rattler. I see Patrick Mahomes. I don't say that lightly. I haven't said that with anybody else. He could flick a football 80 yards. He's got the same mobility as Patrick Mahomes. If you watch Elite 11, if you pay attention to him, he was a big recruit coming out. He won the Elite 11, big recruit coming out of there. So this kid, I was just in awe of some of the throws he was making when I watched the film on him. And I think he's going to carry them. If he cleans some of his decision making up, and some of his, just throws up, if he cleans them up, I can definitely see him leading and carrying Oklahoma to the college football playoff. I was going to put UNC in there with Sam Howell, as I mentioned earlier, but then I was like, that would be a college football playoff of 2 ACC teams and 2 SEC teams, which just I'm already not putting the Big Ten in there because I don't know how CJ Stroud is going to do at Ohio State. And yes, I wish I could put a Penn State in there, but I'm not going to do that because a bunch of people will come at me for being biased. But yeah, so that's my thoughts for the college football playoff. Nothing we haven't seen before, but these teams are making a return.
Guys, I'd be lying to you if I were to say that I know the rosters, like the complete rosters of all of these playoff contenders. But let's be honest with ourselves. I don't. And let's be honest, we kind of already know who's going to make the playoffs. We already know Alabama's probably going to be the 1 seed. We know Clemson's going to be the 2 seed, or maybe they're switched. It doesn't matter. Both of them are going to make the playoffs based on just reputation alone. All right. They are obviously great programs. That leaves the 3 and the 4 spots open. And guys, until the 12-team playoffs are introduced, we're going to get the same old boring teams. Oklahoma's making it. You said Spencer Rattler. ESPN ranked him the number 1 player in college football just this past week. And I don't understand how you could really do that after the downs. He didn't have a down season. All right. But he got benched. He didn't look outstanding. I mean, you're going from Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray. Yeah. Kyler Murray to Spencer Rattler. There's a big drop off there. At least there was the first year that he was there, maybe even the second year as well. He's going into senior year.
I have no idea. I forget what year he's in. I'll look it up. You keep talking.
All right. And then the 4th team, I don't want to put Georgia in there simply because Georgia's going to lose. Georgia is the team that will always fail you every single time, no matter who they go up against. Georgia should not be in the college football playoff unless you want to see a blowout again. I'm not going to put Notre Dame in that spot either. Ohio State's just too good. Just too good of a team, too good of a program, too good of an organization as a whole. That team will live on forever, and it sucks. It sucks that you and I, Jake, we're fans of teams that are in the same conference as them that will just never see the light of day ever. Yep. Ryan Day is an elite head coach at this point. They did lose Justin Fields. They did lose a lot of players, as they always do. They always have players going in the draft. But they always seem to be coming back. Ohio State's probably going to get that 4th spot. I was going to put Wisconsin here too, just for shits and gigs, just because I wanted to be a biased fan. But I can't really do that after losing Jonathan Taylor. Their running back situation isn't looking great with Jalen Berger starting, which, by the way, one of my buddies from high school is good friends with him. So that's cool.
Wow.
So I pretty much know Jalen Berger. Think about it.
You're basically best friends with him too.
Look at that.
Yeah. Commutative property.
Yeah.
Since exactly.
Yeah. Like I basically know pretty much everybody. You could do that with anybody through like connections. Like this person knows them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. guess that leaves me, gentlemen, and I'm going to go ahead and say I have the exact same answers as Jake because this is college football, and that's how college football goes. Oklahoma and Georgia. The one thing that concerns me about Georgia is that they play Clemson like first game, and they're probably going to lose that, so that's not a great way to start.
Yeah.
But they have a pretty easy schedule otherwise. So I feel like they can bounce back from that despite probably losing early, and they can end up making it into the playoff. Oklahoma resides still, as of now, until they move to the SEC, they still reside in the conference that plays no defense whatsoever, and they consistently have the best offense in that conference. So I think that they'll easily win it yet again. And then we talked about it, Alabama and Clemson. In fact, when we were doing this, I wrote down one thing next to Alabama to talk about, and that was duh. It's Alabama.
It's Alabama.
Yeah.
There it is. Doesn't matter who they're playing out there. They're just at the top.
Yeah.
I saw a stat earlier that Alabama hasn't lost to a team that their mascot wasn't a tiger since like 2015 or some shit.
A tiger? That's a stupid
Clemson.
stat.
Oh, yeah.
It's a crazy stat.
Clemson, LSU. Yeah. Clemson, LSU.
That's it.
Tigers.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all they lost to.
They just lose to those teams.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow. Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn as well.
Yeah. Auburn Tigers. Yep.
Yeah. That is going to be it from us, guys. We appreciate you, TU crew. This has been a fantastic episode. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, we would very much appreciate it if you rate and review the show. It means a lot to us. It helps push it out to other people so we can continue to build this community. We thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, and make sure if you haven't already downloaded the Overtime app, make sure to go to the link in our bio of both our Instagram and TikTok at Totally Unqualified and at Totally Unqualified Pod on Instagram, and download that Overtime app. You don't have to use the link, but it does support the podcast. It supports us if you do. So highly recommend that. Honestly, guys, it really is a great app. You know, Overtime, they got tens of millions of followers on TikTok, millions of followers on Instagram. They're an awesome company, and they made an awesome app, combines social media with some free just competitions. You know, you make some weekly picks. It's awesome. I go on there, I make some picks sometimes, and it's just a really good app. So go ahead and download that if you guys want to go support us.
And make sure to go download and prop up on Thrive Fantasy, the app. Either by doing so, you could click our link in our bios, any of our TikTok bios, the Totally Unqualified bio, or by using our promo code TOTALLY, that's TOTALLY. If you sign up using our link, you could get 100% instant first deposit match up to $100. You want to bet $20, you get $20 right back into your account for free. It is that simple. Make sure to go prop up on Thrive Fantasy, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.